It began with a simple, almost thoughtless act that would ripple through the centuries. In the spring of 1947, a young Bedouin shepherd searching for a lost goat along the arid cliffs of the Dead Sea tossed a stone into a dark cave opening. He was not expecting the sharp, fragile sound of shattering pottery to echo back from the darkness. This unexpected noise sparked his curiosity, leading him and his cousin to venture inside. There, nestled in the dust and shadows, they discovered a collection of tall clay jars. Most were empty, but a few held something extraordinary: bundles of cloth wrapped around brittle, ancient scrolls. They had no idea that their chance discovery would become one of the most significant archaeological finds of the 20th century. These scrolls, soon known to the world as the Dead Sea Scrolls, immediately captured the public imagination. This is where our story begins. To understand the importance of the Dead Sea Scrolls, we must first be clear about what they are. The term Dead Sea Scrolls refers not to a single book, but to a vast collection of nearly 1,000 different ancient manuscripts. These texts were discovered between 1947 and 1956 in a series of 12 caves near a site called Qumran on the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea. The extraordinary state of preservation is owed to the region's unique climate. The extreme heat and dryness of the Judean desert acted as a natural time capsule, protecting the fragile materials from decay for 2,000 years. The scrolls are written on various materials, primarily animal skin, parchment vellum papyrus, and one unique scroll engraved on a sheet of copper. The collection is incredibly diverse in its content, reflecting the varied literary and religious life of ancient Judea. Scholars typically categorize the texts into three main groups. The first and perhaps most famous group consists of biblical manuscripts. These include copies of books from the Hebrew Bible, with every book represented in at least fragmentary form except for the Book of Esther. These biblical scrolls are profoundly important because they are, in many cases, 1,000 years older than the previously oldest known complete manuscripts of the Hebrew Bible. They provide a direct look at the state of the biblical text during the Second Temple period, long before it was standardized. The second category is known as apocryphal, or pseudepigraphical writings. These are works from the Second Temple period that were not ultimately included in the canonical Hebrew Bible, but were clearly read and valued by some Jewish communities at the time. Texts like the Book of Enoch, Jubilees, Testament of Levi. These writings offer invaluable insights into the broader religious landscape, revealing popular theological ideas, stories about ancient patriarchs, and apocalyptic visions that circulated widely. The third and most unique category comprises sectarian texts, beliefs, rules, and practices of a particular Jewish community that lived at or near Qumran, including the community rule, the war scroll, and the temple scroll. So, yeah, that's basically what the scrolls are. Ever since their discovery, the Dead Sea Scrolls have been magnets for sensationalism and myth-making. The combination of their great antiquity, their connection to biblical history, the initial delays in their publication created fertile ground for conspiracy theories and speculative claims. Popular culture through novels and television specials has often preferred dramatic fiction over sober scholarship. These myths, while entertaining, obscure the true historical value of the scrolls and create a confusing landscape for anyone trying to understand their significance. It's essential to identify and address the most common myths attached to these manuscripts. Myth. The scrolls contain a secret or lost gospel suppressed by the Vatican or other authorities because it challenged Christianity's foundations. The story casts scholars as gatekeepers hiding truths about Jesus or the early church. Myth. The scrolls as a whole are older than the Bible, implying a purer, original scripture that was later altered. Myth. The scrolls were written by Jesus himself or by immediate followers like John the Baptist. Myth. The scrolls contain hidden codes or magical prophecies, a notion popularized by fiction that treats them as mystical artifacts. Myth. The scrolls were found and then immediately hidden by a secretive cabal protecting interests and controlling access for decades. Confronting these myths with verifiable facts is the first step to appreciating the more interesting true story of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Well, that's the clearer picture. Let us now turn from myth to fact, addressing each of these popular misconceptions with the clear evidence provided by decades of scholarly research. The first myth: the scrolls are a single suppressed Christian book, easily debunked. The Dead Sea Scrolls are not one book but a library, nearly 1,000 texts, from various authors and communities. Most manuscripts are Jewish in character: Jewish law, biblical interpretation, community rules. There is no lost gospel. They do not mention Jesus or his followers by name. Instead, they illuminate the diverse Jewish world from which Christianity later emerged. The story of the Dead Sea Scrolls unfolds across several decades, beginning with that fateful discovery in 1947. Following the initial find in what became known as Cave 1, the scrolls began a complex journey, passing through the hands of antiquities dealers in Bethlehem before catching the attention of scholars. The period from 1947 to 1956 was a time of intense activity, a scroll rush where Bedouin treasure hunters and professional archaeologists raced to explore the hundreds of caves near Qumran. This search led to 10 more caves with manuscripts, with the most significant finds from Cave 4, tens of thousands of fragments from over 500 different texts. The next phase saw a small international team sorting, identifying, and preparing the fragments for publication. Access was limited and progress slow, not least because the task resembled thousands of jigsaw puzzles with most pieces missing. Political events, including the 1967 Six-Day War, complicated control and access. In 1991, scholars in Cincinnati used a computer and a concordance to reconstruct a key text, and the Huntington Library released its complete microfilms, ending exclusive control and ushering in open access. Since then, high-resolution imaging has photographed every fragment. Today, a global audience can study them online. Scientific tools probe materials, inks, and even parchment DNA. The scrolls are now preserved in climate-controlled environments, primarily at the Shrine of the Book in Jerusalem, ensuring their survival for future generations. In the final analysis, after the dust of sensationalism has settled, the Dead Sea Scrolls remain one of the most important discoveries for understanding our religious and cultural heritage. Their true value lies not in any single, earth-shattering revelation, but in the cumulative, detailed, and authentic light. They shine on a pivotal moment in history. They have reshaped our understanding of the history of the Bible, demonstrating with physical evidence how the sacred text was transmitted and revered long before the printing press. The scrolls show a biblical text both cherished and still in flux, a living document rather than a static monument. They open a window into the vibrant diversity of Jewish thought and practice during the Second Temple period, beyond later sources like Josephus or early rabbinic sages. The sectarian texts provide a direct voice from one of many groups, immersed in Scripture, obsessed with purity, and living in intense expectation of divine intervention. This enriches our sense of a time of dynamic debate and profound spiritual creativity. The scrolls do not speak of Jesus, but they speak the language of his world. Teacher of righteousness, light and darkness, communal meals, and fulfillment of prophecy resonate with New Testament themes. These ideas did not arise in a vacuum, but within a broader Jewish conversation. They are not the source of Christianity, but an essential part of its background story. Ultimately, the Dead Sea Scrolls invite humility and curiosity. History is complex and evolving. They are not a weapon or a codebook, but a bridge connecting us to ancient scribes, scholars, and believers. The voices on these fragile parchments are old, but they still speak of faith, community, and the timeless human search for meaning. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos.